Speaking of characters, we already know how to drag a token, but let's figure out how to make one from scratch. So, add character. You're going to put in their name or whatever name of the. So, like, let's say it was Alexander the Great, right? All players, all players. This way they can see each other and see out of everything. But if you're running a dungeon crawl, you may want to consider putting it to say Alex or whatever you want to, or whatever their name is. As they join your Roll20, they will show up here. However, for the most part, unless vision is a big deal, just do all players, and then you would upload their token, which I already have some offhand, but I will show you how to make those as well. So let's just say this is our Alexander the Great token. And then we hit, you can put in GM notes if you want to make a monster, or you can put in their bio if they gave it to you. But this will be in all players' journals, which will be right here. And it can be controlled or edited by all players. Just make sure your players understand, don't touch other players' stuff, right? So then we go to character sheet, edit sheet directly. Now, all of the check marks we did earlier come into play here. Let's say you're playing with a champion fighter, their crit range will be 19 instead of 20. So we want to put that here so that they get credit for crits on 19s. Then we come over here, and it's important that we put in their initiative if they do not want to fill out their character sheet, or you don't want to do everybody's character sheets. Let's say you're using D&D Beyond and you don't really want the hassle of having everybody put in stuff because you're not using APIs or anything, you just want a fast game. Put in your initiative modifier for them, and then put in their current health, max health, and AC. And then you're done. Let's say they had 13 AC, 8 health, and their strength was 15, their dex is 13, con is 14, intelligence is 12, wisdom's 12, and then 16 charisma, right? Then you'll see that their initiative automatically updates, but it may or may not be correct depending on what they did. The reason we added all of those, we checked all of these fields here, is because we want to be able to do modifiers. So for instance, let's say somebody's under the effects of Bless, as we know that will help their saving throws. So now, let's say Alexander the Great, we toss him on the map because he's ready to go. We can hit strength modifier with the Bless, and we will see that it rolls with Bless. That way we can take some of those lesser thought about things, such as guidance and Bless, and just integrate them into some of these rolls for them, right? It's annoying when you have to backtrack and because somebody forgot some modifier, who knows, right? So the first thing we want to do is, let's say it's a short sword. We can put in attack, and let's say their strength modifier is a 2. And we know that does 1d6 strength. So 1d6 plus 2, perfect. And it is slashing. Crit is 1d6. Perfect. So now if they have anything else, like for instance the flame tongue or whatever item that does 3d6, you could easily put that into damage 2. Or say it's Hunter's Mark, 1d6 slashing, 1d6, and now it takes into account Hunter's Mark when we click this. So it'll roll their Hunter's Mark on in with this. So 1d6 plus 2, 1d6. And Then, if you really want to get fancy with it, you can enter this command, which is bracket space bracket parentheses, and then go get a GIF. As far as I know, it really only works with Giphy at the moment. But let's say we wanted, let's go to Giphy, Giphy, and type in sword, right? We'll get some sword attacks here. Let's do this. And hit this little chain link, hit copy. As long as it says GIF in the link right here, it should work. Then we close the little gear, and now when we click this, we get the little GIF, which can be kind of fun for players. Again, you could do the same thing, like for instance, let's say a rogue has, in this example, sneak attack. 1d6, 1d6, sneak. And we check that. Now when we hit this, you'll see the sneak attack damage and this. So it's kind of nifty. I usually don't use the damage 2. I just put the global modifiers here instead. Same thing with Bless, or, Hex could go here. You have a lot of options. I usually do my attack rolls, such as, any spells or any weapons this way. You can also have them enter in their skill checks. So let's say Alexander the Great here was, big at this, and we want guidance. Now you see that it rolls with guidance. Okay, and they can enter in whatever modifiers here that they want. Videlkin, for instance, gets a plus 1d4 to a chosen thing. Let's say he was Investigation Videlkin. And we put, I forget what the trait is called, but it's 1d4, Videlkin. And we go into investigation, roll it. Now it does the extra d4. So this is nifty for some of those extra rolls that somebody might want, or just to be able to flavor up their abilities with GIFs or images. And that is about it for this part. Now, if we grab our token here, Alexander the Great, and we hit nameplate, HP, and AC, and then we zoom in, you will see that Alexander the Great has 12 AC and 8 health, and you can do that for multiple characters. You can even edit it in yourself if you really don't want to hassle with the Roll20 character sheet. But for instance, let's say you do have it integrated with D&D Beyond. If you mark it off, and if you do it this way and you mark it off in D&D Beyond, it'll automatically do the damage on their token when they take damage on D&D Beyond. It's just a little way to make it easy on players. And that is, of course, if you have the D&D Beyond Google Chrome app, which is, I believe, Beyond 20? Yeah, Beyond 20. So make sure you have that and your players have that so they can roll from D&D Beyond. But that's basically how you make a character sheet. Make sure all of your characters are in here. Now let's do a quick monster just to show you how that is done. Downloads, I just did a monster recently. Same concept. So here we have an ancient bronze dragon. And we will put it in you just have to put it in your journal and let it be editable by you. If you want them to be able to see the AC and stuff for whatever reason, you can put it in all players. It's up to you. So we just hit save. You can do it one of two ways. You can hit create NPC, or you can hit edit sheet directly. If you prefer your monsters to play more like players, where you can just edit those variables on the fly and just do them, cool. But in the event that you want to have create an NPC to be like a normal from the stat block, you just grab the stat block from Roll20, start entering in these values, and you can hide the name. Again, you can auto roll crits and everything. You can say if the creature has legendary actions, import everything just from D&D Beyond. So for instance, let's say I've got a encounter pre-built here, and I wanted to put in an Aarakocra. We put in first variables. It's faster if you do it off screen, but essentially you type in 12, humanoid. Sometimes it'll tell you what type of armor, so in this case it's natural. Medium humanoid. You copy this, copy this, grab the hit points, so 13, 3d8, 13, 3d8, speed going to be here, initiative is a +2. The initiative really matters because the initiative is going to be pre-rolled if you're following along all the way through, but if you're not, then it doesn't really matter to enter any of this. So 10, 14, 10, 11, 12, 11, 10, 14, 10, 11, 12, 11. Okay. Any saves, we have a perception +5, so we come over here to the perception, add a little +5. We've got passive perception of 15, so we're just going to put that in the passives right here. There is no dark vision. Languages, we put those right here. CR 1/4. It'll automatically tell you the experience here. Token size, it's a medium. Again, you can always do like 1/4, for instance, if it were a tiny creature, and then 1/2 for a small creature. And of course, 2 for a large, 3 for huge, 4 for gargantuan. But in this case, it's just a 1 because it's a medium creature. And that will be 2, 1. So 2 for Dex, 1 for Wisdom, and then no vulnerabilities or immunities or anything. And we just put this in. Now we make the action. The first action they have is dive attack here. So we are going to grab this, type in dive attack, and the attack is 1d6, and that attack is based off of their talon, which is slashing. So, or it's based off their, let's see, hits with a melee weapon attack. So it would be either the talon or the javelin. So in this case, we'll just pretend it's the talon. So it's 1d6 slashing, and you just put it in. Talon, grab it. Oops, melee attack. I copy this all in, and that way I can just pull the stats that I need. 1d4 +2, and slashing. 2 hit is a +4, which we got right here. And it's a melee weapon attack, so 1 target. And we delete this as we do not need it. So there we have our talon attack, and of course our javelin attack. Okay, 2 hit +4. Reach 5 feet. Range. Okay, 4. and then one target, 1d6 plus 2 piercing, and then we get rid of all this. Bam. So again, we have our 2 attacks here. So now if we roll them, of course, we can hit Talon. And there we go, 4 slashing damage. Then you have to hit the dive attack if it's flying to get the extra 6 damage, or 3 damage, however you want to do it. The first number is the average. The second number is if you want to roll damage. So here we kind of have everything that we need. And you can even pull abilities over here, which we will do when we get to APIs and stuff. There's some cool things you can do there. But here we have an Aarakocra. We, of course, used an ancient bronze dragon. And now if we pull that monster, so I like to create a folder called monsters and move it up into monsters to keep it separate. Now I just pull the ancient bronze. Let's make him big. And again, HP, AC, fill in the number. And bam, we're ready for combat. That quickly, we were able to get these tokens onto the field, ready to battle. Movement is as simple as just moving them. Measuring out is as simple as just using this tool here, snap to center. And then there is the effects. If you are an advanced user, you can do, say, a beam attack just for flavor, or like a breath. Let's say fire attack. We want to fire through them. Rawr. Okay. So if you want to hide it from the players, like for instance, I want my players to be unaware of this dragon, then what you want to do is right click GM layer. Now you're basically playing as usual. They reach this point. Oh, you see a big ancient bronze dragon as it comes up from the earth. Now you just right click token layer, bam. And that is how you create characters and monsters tokens for your game. Pretty simple so far. The next thing we want to do is set up basic dynamic lighting, and then we can get to some advanced stuff. All right, stay tuned.